for the victory lap, though. Whoa, whoa. They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I stress overcome, what for? Train in the trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Ain't no challenge for champions and chain no fear. Yup, the champ is here, switch gears. We keeping haters in the rear. At the blood, sweat, and tears, and my goal so near. I see my victory so clear. I see my victory so clear. And today, we break through. 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 I know it's lonely at the top, but that's not by speculation. But the position that I got, I climb too high to fall, way too hard to drop. Stop clocks on the speed bag. Every out under pressure, no jet lag. This is greater than trophies and saluted flags. Titles of pain, the cost is paid. Yay, I carried the cross I made. Dealt with the dealer, baby, the hand was played. New level, next stage. Learn to lead as a legend. Now tell me what's my next stage, yeah. I said the champ is here, switch gears. We keeping haters in the rear. At the blood, sweat, and tears, and my goal so near. I see my victory so clear. And today, we break through. 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 And today, we break through.
Welcome back, Kings fans. I am Jesse Cohen. This is All the Kings Men Live, presented to you by MANSCAPED. MANSCAPED is an official partner of the LA Kings. Thanks to this revolutionary company, manscaping accidents are a thing of the past. Just get yourself the Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0. Inside, you'll find products like their Lawnmower 3.0, which is advanced skin-safe technology, so this trimmer won't cut you. Everything you need to keep trimmed and smelling nice is in the Perfect Package 3.0. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code KINGSMEN at manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com, and use the code KINGSMEN. Joining me as she does every week, Carlin Bathe. How are you doing today, Carlin?
I'm doing well, Jesse. I'm battling daylight with this window right now, and I feel it just keeps changing. And I'm like, hello, why am I so bright? Let's fix it. And then it just keeps changing again. How are you? How sunny is it where you are?
I don't know. My blinds are drawn, but a battle with daylight seems like a battle you can't win.
No, and I wish I had blinds right now.
Yeah.
A blindless window.
I was thinking, Carlin, as I was reading that intro, next week, why don't you do the read?
The Manscaped read?
Yeah.
I'd be honored.
All right.
My God.
Perfect.
I feel like I could do it by heart now, just listening to the way you deliver. Oh my goodness. I'd be darn honored.
Excellent. So we'll look forward to that next week.
Yes.
We're going to start this week's show with a Would You Rather.
Okay.
And it's...
Would I rather do the Manscaped read next week or not? Yes.
Exactly. Well, I feel like I've gotten pretty good at it, but I wouldn't say I'm the best in the world at it.
Okay.
So that leads us to our Would You Rather. And so I'm going to ask you, would you rather be, and it doesn't matter what skill or task you want to choose, but would you rather be the best at one thing in the world and have nobody know it?
Oh.
Or have everybody treat you and talk about you as if you were the best at one thing in the world, but in fact you are just sort of fairly average at it?
This is a really deep, introspective question.
Take your time.
Because isn't that adulting? Where the second part of that question, where oh gosh, I cannot answer this. Like, how can you go first? Can you give me your reason?
Sure.
I know you usually go second, but I feel like I could get a more well-rounded answer for you if I hear your thoughts on this.
So I would personally take being the best at something in the world and not having anybody know it.
Okay.
Because it would be, I think anyway, I'm probably wrong, but I
Yeah.
think it would be good enough for me to know that I was the best at something.
Okay.
And I get immense pleasure out of doing something well. Now that's probably my own deeply rooted psychoses,
Sure.
but I have the sentence in my head from when I was a kid, and it was repeated to me a number of times: if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right.
Yes, absolutely.
So I get pleasure out of doing something right. And I don't really care. I mean, I do care what people think of me, but I think I would hate constantly being complimented if I knew that it wasn't earned.
Well, here's my philosophy. If you're going to be the best at something, I feel like you can't hide it unless it's this like extreme hidden talent, like you can make a loon call with your hands and you just never show anyone, right? But say most other things, you just by nature and just interacting with people are probably going to know if you're the best at something, and there's no hiding it. But then I think about the other part of the question, and I feel like, maybe my nephews think I'm like the best Call of Duty player in the world, and I'm not, but like I'm totally okay with them thinking I am. So I fall in the middle, but I lean more toward your answer, where I would love to be really, really good at something and then have no one know about it. And that's what I think I'm going to go with, but that was really hard. That was maybe your hardest one yet. It made me think of too many different scenarios. So
I have watched your Twitch channel, and I have seen you play Call of Duty, and I can definitively say that you are better than me at Call of Duty.
Well, thanks. Thank you very much.
Not much of a compliment, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not that good, so wow.
I'm terrible.
Oh, goodness.
I'm terrible. Look, last week we had Will Scouch on to tell us all about the players that the Kings selected in the 2020 NHL entry draft, and we hope that some of them will become the greatest at something in the world. But this week we're going to talk to Sixten Funqvist. He covers the NHL and the SHL and the Allsvenskan League, which he will explain to us in a moment. He lives out in Sweden, and he is going to talk us through all of the players that the Kings own the rights to who are playing in Sweden. So now we bring you that conversation with Sixten. Linköping, Sweden. Sixten Funqvist. How are you doing today, Sixten?
I'm fine, Jesse. How are you? Thanks
I'm excellent, thanks. Yeah, look, our pleasure. Listeners may recognize the name. It's because you and I have spoken a number of times over the last, year and a half, 2 years about Swedish prospects playing within the Kings system. So that's what we're here to do today, talk about Kings players playing out there in the Swedish leagues. Now, I say leagues because there are 2 leagues playing in Sweden. If you could do us a favor and just explain to us the difference between the SHL and the Allsvenskan League.
Yeah, so comparing it to North American sports in general, or hockey, in Sweden we got a promotion and regulation system. So the SHL is obviously the top league in Sweden, and then Hockey Allsvenskan is the second tier. So the teams playing in Hockey Allsvenskan are actually battling for promotion to be promoted to the SHL, and the bottom team in the SHL will be relegated or play qualifications. I can't really remember because they've been going back and forth on this. So, but there's a promotion relegation system right now. So, or always has been, I should say. So, there's actually a fierce competition in signing players, and obviously the best players goes to the SHL. Part of this weird season where most of the NHLers actually have ended up in Hockey Allsvenskan. But so Hockey Allsvenskan is literally below the SHL.
Now, you and I talked about this before, and I even went to the internet. I went to the Wikipedia page, which I know if I was writing a book report wouldn't be allowed. But I went to the Wikipedia page to try and figure out the relegation system because you were a bit fuzzy on it. And the Wikipedia page was not helpful at all. It sounded like there's a playoff at the end of the year.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
So there's a playoff in Hockey Allsvenskan where the winner will be promoted to the SHL. Then I'm kind of lost as well because nobody's really talking about this. There's some sort of pandemic grabbing all the news right now. So, but yeah, there's a playoff. So the old kind of promotion relegation system we had was that the bottom 2 teams in the SHL or former Swedish Elite League played some sort of qualification series. It was literally called the qualification series with, I believe, 4 of the Hockey Allsvenskan teams. So they met each other twice. So it was a 10-game series, and the top 2 teams were promoted. That's the
Wow.
way it used to go, and it was kind of fierce. And having been a huge fan, obviously, that's how I started my own hockey kind of following. The fans go bananas when a team gets promoted through that system. So, in a way, it's a big loss that they moved on from it. But I'm getting the feeling that they might change it again because they're going back and forth. So we'll see what happens. But it's an awesome thing whenever we got fans in the stands because everyone's kind of traveling. We're not a huge country, so people literally travel around the country following their team. So it's an awesome experience, both for players and fans.
Do the fans change when their team gets relegated or promoted, or do they kind of stick to their team no matter what happens to them?
Fans in general stick to their team.
Yeah.
There's no swapping teams. If anything, a team that gets relegated often sees a surge of hardcore fans, joining up behind the team to get the team back to the SHL or to be where they see the team built to be belonged, so to speak. Then again, I mean, sponsorship deals are affected greatly by relegations and promotions, I should say. The TV deal is a massive difference between the SHL and the Hockey Allsvenskan. I think it's a matter of about $3 or $3.5 million. So it's quite a lot for a small league per team, I should say. So it's a lot of money. So yeah, it's a huge difference in terms of financial status as well. Yeah.
Let's talk about two teams in Hockey Allsvenskan, that relegation league. I'm sure that's not what they prefer to be called, but the secondary league, we'll say. First, I want to talk about Samuel Fagamo, who was drafted by the Kings last season, or last draft, not the 2020 draft, but the previous draft is what I'm trying to say. He's played 15 games, got 8 points. I've seen highlights of a couple of his goals. Really an incredible shot. What's the word out in Sweden about Samuel Fagamo? There are a couple journalists out here who seem to think he has a chance at cracking the Kings lineup this season.
I do as well. I mean, he's a great talent, and to be fair, looking at Hockey Allsvenskan and compare it to anywhere near the NHL is difficult because there's a massive skill difference in the teams playing in Hockey Allsvenskan. The worst teams wouldn't have a chance. So a player like Fagamo should really play in the SHL, but due to regulations, he can't. That's why he's in Hockey Allsvenskan, much like other NHLers being loaned out during the pandemic. The rules are that the players loaned to the SHL must stay through the season no matter what. So that's why we see most of the players going to Hockey Allsvenskan because they don't have the same regulations in terms of when the players or how long the players have to stay. But getting back to Fagamo, yeah, I could see him crack the LA Kings lineup given where the Kings are right now and where Fagamo kind of is in his career and his trajectory. So yeah, for sure, I would agree with that.
He's playing for Södertälje. Is that a team with a shot at promotion, or are they sort of middle of the pack in Allsvenskan?
This year they're in the middle of the pack. They've had some really bad years in the past. They used to be an SHL team, and they've actually won a few championships back in I believe the 80s or so. So it's been a while since they had their glory days. But in the past they've had some trouble, getting the chemistry in the team and the organization going the right way, and kind of turned the page there. So I'm not saying they'll get a promotion or even be close to it, but they're playing way better than they've done in the past. And Fagamo and the other NHLers are, of course, a huge part of that.
Is there something about his game in particular that you think translates well to the NHL, or some people have said it's he's a master of all or a jack of all trades, master of none. He's sort of very good at everything, but there's no one part of his game that he really excels at.
I think pretty much not everyone, but most of the younger guys coming out of Sweden now are they're skating very well, and they can adapt to the smaller rink quite quickly. I'm not saying that didn't that wasn't the case before, but I can see Fagamo kind of making a seamless transition to the NHL in terms of skating, his stick handling. But yeah, like you said, he's probably a middle six kind of guy, probably bottom six to start with. But then again, he can excel in that role. I should say. I would say depending on who he plays with.
Another player who's already made the transition to the NHL is Carl Grunstrom. He's playing for Bjorklöven, also in the Hockey Allsvenskan. It feels like, just because of his age and the waiver, rules, feels like this is sort of make or break season for him. I think most people are expecting him to start the season with the LA Kings whenever that is. He's got 8 points, 2 goals in 10 games for Bjorklöven. Any input on Carl Grunstrom? Sorry, Grunstrom.
First of all, I thought he'd cracked the lineup right away coming over from the Leafs. So because he's that kind of, like, I would say he's much like Fagamo. Playing in Bjorklöven this season, he's playing for a powerhouse team. That's a team I expect to, if not be promoted, be there fighting for that chance to the very end, because they're insanely good. The other week they steamrolled a team like 9-1 or 9-2 or something, so they're really plowing through their season pretty much at will. Having said that, looking at Grunstrom's stats, I kind of expected a bit more. I really did. But then again, it's a stacked team. He doesn't have to perform night in and night out because they've got guys doing so, or kind of filling the void for each other, so to speak. I can see him starting in the Kings this season and trying to earn his spot. Yeah.
What's the ceiling for a player like Grunstrom? Now that he's on a powerhouse of a team, maybe he doesn't have to perform like you're saying, but if he were to perform to his ultimate standards, what from seeing him play, what do you think his ceiling is?
That's a good question. His ceiling, I don't think I should say he's a top 6 kind of guy, but maybe a middle 6. I could see him playing in that second or third line and doing so very well. I mean, didn't he score in his debut for the Kings? I believe so. I mean, he's got the skills. Just give him the ice time, and he needs to, I think much like any other young guy coming over or getting that kind of second chance in the NHL, he needs to be able to kind of fail and continue to try a bit, if that makes sense. Because I can see his confidence being a bit shot, to be fair, in the NHL, having gone through what he went through with the Leafs, and then whatever happens. But yeah, I can see him playing a middle 6 role. I feel like I'm using a safe answer here, but it's honestly what I think about him.
I mean, look, middle 6 means the only limitation is he's not a top line forward, and there's just a lot of really good players that are top 3 on their team in the league. So I don't think that's knocking anybody.
Yeah, that's great.
Last player playing in the Allsvenskan, I believe, Johan Södergran. Now, he was sort of a later round pick, and I think sort of a longer shot to make the NHL. But with 12 games, 3 points, playing for Almtuna, he's a big guy. What is he, a bottom 6 player? Is that his ceiling? Is that what we're looking at out of Johan?
I think so. I know Johan was the reason we kind of got in touch in the first place, because Johan has been playing in Linköping, and he did so very well in his last seasons in Linköping. He kind of established himself pretty quickly from basically out of nothing. So it might have gone a bit too fast for him moving over. I think I said so. I've said so a couple of times before, talking to you, Jesse. But then again, when he actually made the move to North America, I thought he could battle for an NHL spot right away, given his size, given his physicality to his game, and also those kind of board battles, winning the puck down in the corners. I don't know what kind of happened to him. I actually tried to get hold of him a couple of weeks ago, but I've managed to lose his contact info. So I'm gonna do that and talk to him, because I can see him playing in the NHL. I don't know the role, but given his size, and he is pretty quick to be a big fella. So I mean, every team needs those physical players to kind of pave the way, and I can see Johan being one of those guys if he's willing to do the work.
Ontario was there were just too many people and not enough minutes. It was more crowded on defense, but even at the forward ranks, as the season went on, they acquired some more veteran players to help win them some games, and I think that sort of gobbled up minutes from other players. Now we're really quickly going to touch on some players playing in the SHL, and we're going to start with a player that, frankly, I've forgotten all about in preparation for talking to you, because the Kings acquired him with a trade at the draft. He hasn't been in the system, and he wasn't drafted. So that's Lias Andersson. He just completed play in the was it the Karlia Cup? Was that?
Yeah, the Karlia. Yeah.
But I'm more curious what your perspective on his NHL career. Now, I know you probably aren't intimately familiar with him or his camp, but he was drafted by the Rangers. There was some, I don't know even. Yeah, there was something, and he wound up returning to Sweden. Any thoughts on how his career has gone to this point?
I don't think his career has gone the way we thought it would, obviously with him returning to Sweden. But then again, he's one, if I may say so, hell of a player here in the SHL. He's so much fun to watch. I do believe he's got a top 6 potential in him still for the NHL. He's got a vision that is NHL worthy. It's all a matter of getting that confidence back, getting him to feel the trust. Because he is an NHL player. If not in the making, he might already be one playing in the SHL. I really do believe he'll play in the NHL one day again.
I have to ask about the silver medal incident because I'm super curious what the perspective on that was on the Swedish side of the ledger. In America, there was a split between, oh, that's poor sportsmanship, he's acting like a spoiled brat, and then the other half was, oh no, that's great, it just shows how committed he is, how passionate he is. If you don't, if second place is first loser, or whatever you want to say. I could well imagine the Swedish perspective being somewhat different on that, but what was the reaction to him tossing the silver medal back into the crowd?
I think it was pretty much the same, because thanks to or due to social media, there was, of course, and this has been debated forth and back ever since, I suppose, whenever someone brings it up. But I think it was pretty quickly overshadowed. I can't, to be honest, I kind of forgot about that incident until you just mentioned it. So, but to me, I mean, yeah, I might have done the same thing, being as disappointed as he was. But then again, he might have regretted it going forward in his life, because it's still a silver medal. So, but getting back to that split, yeah, there was a split. There was a bit of a conversation about it, but to me and to people around me, I think it was something of nothing a bit.
Do you
I think it got blown out of proportions a bit.
I mean, there's so much pressure that's put on young hockey players, and we have to remember they're teenagers. And how have we acted when we were teenagers playing a sport, and comparing that to these kids? They just have the stage put on them or put before them. You know what I mean? So it's like they're doing this and the world just happens to see it. But there's got to be so many people that have, broken a stick, thrown their helmet, done something after a tough, loss. Silver medal is still an incredible feat. But it's just like, do you think people put so much pressure on these kids to be perfect, or what? Like, should people be more forgiving of this sort of thing? I know we were just saying like, oh, we kind of forgot about that until just now. But like, is this something that people should be like, they're kids? Or should we be putting more pressure on them? Like, no, you're kids, but you're on a big stage, so act accordingly.
I really do side with the first option there, because they're just kids. I mean, it's a huge stage. Some of the guys might have not. Well, of course, if you play the World Juniors, you have been on some sort of stage before, obviously. Right. But I honestly, they're just kids. You're allowed to make those kind of things, and I don't think you should read too much into it.
Now, he was the captain of that team, and he was the captain of the Team Sweden at the recently completed Karlia Cup. So, I mean, never mind his hockey play on the ice. It sounds like Sweden thinks he's, a decent leader to constantly give him the C, right?
Yeah, he is. And he leads by example quite often. Then again, Sweden didn't have a great tournament. They've got 1 point out of a possible 9, so that kind of tells you a lot. But then again, the Karjala Cup was a bit of a bubble. We don't know the COVID implications. We don't know nothing. So I don't, much as any, I view the Karjala Cup and any other European Hockey Tour tournament as some sort of exhibition games, basically. I don't put too much weight into it because the teams you see play in these kind of tournaments are rarely the teams you see play in the World Championships, for instance, or the Olympic Games, if there's one of those coming up. So I don't read too much into it. Of course, there's hockey, but no.
All right, we're going to end with a pair of defensemen. We're going to start with Tobias Bjornfoot. Drew Doughty raved about this guy. I think it caught everybody off guard with how effusive he was in his praise. Is Tobias Bjornfoot an NHL defenseman already?
I think so. I really think so. He's an awesome guy. Then you're going to have had their COVID kind of things now, so they returned to play. I think they played yesterday because I didn't work yesterday, so I can't really remember. But I think you're going to play yesterday, or if not, they're playing tomorrow, Thursday at least. So when they face off against Linköping, actually. So yeah. But getting back to Bjornfoot, I think if he just can find his footing a bit in the SHL, because a bit of confidence. But to me, he's an NHL defenseman, and Drew Doughty. I remember Drew Doughty kind of taking him under his wing, so to speak, and that tells you a lot. It really does.
And finally, we're going to talk about Helge Granz. I recently spoke to Andreas Lilia, former LA King, assistant coach for the Malmö Redhawks. I know you've spoken to Helge, Sixten. I'm just going to let you say as many nice things about him as you want now. I don't even have a question.
Well, I think when I nailed the pick of Helge Granz, I compared him to Drew Doughty. He's a right shot D with offensive capabilities, playing a decent two-way game. We should remember he's a young boy still, so that two-way game will improve. Much like any other Swedish prospect, or most prospects coming into the NHL this nowadays, he keeps his foot solid on the ground. He doesn't get carried away on or off the ice. When I talk to him about the NHL, he's still like, yeah, if I make it, I need to work harder. I need to improve this. I need to do that. Oh, blah, 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 blah. But looking at his play now, Malmö have kind of crashed and burned in this season. They're having a rough time. And Helge's kind of point production has, if not come to a complete halt, then it's been paused, so to speak, because Malmö are getting shelled at the moment. But looking at his offensive capabilities, he kind of pounces whenever he gets the opportunity, and he doesn't seem phased doing so because he's playing with a solid D man behind him. He knows he can take advantage of his great vision, his great speed, and, well, frankly, his great shot as well. So looking at him for maybe the 21-22 season, I can see him playing in the NHL on a semi-regular basis. I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings kind of took him over to adapt to the smaller rink and moved him between the AHL and the NHL just to get him acquainted a bit, and then just giving him a tape of Drew Doughty and see, this is what this guy does. So, but because, I mean, I love the guys. He's so awesome to watch. I compare him, and the comparison is quite natural between him and Albert Johansson of Färjestad, who is a Detroit Red Wings draft prospect. They're both offensively gifted. They both kind of need to improve their physical aspect of their game, but they can be physical if need be. I really like them, and I really like Helge Granz playing. It's a joy to watch, to be honest.
Awesome. Well, something for fans in LA and Ontario to look forward to. Carlin, before we let Sixten go, anything else you want to ask him?
Well, I just said Carl Grunstrom's goal was against the Ducks, and I just want to correct myself. It was the Coyotes. So
all right.
The only thing I was hooked on, I was like, oh shoot, I messed that up. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about your T-shirt real quick before you go. Why did you choose this one, and who is Iced Earth? Let us know.
They're a heavy metal band based out of Tampa, Florida. I really like them. I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan. Normally I love the Iron Maiden. I love heavy metal, but I figured I should go some sort of North American route today. Speaking to you guys, and the closest I could get was Tampa, Florida. So at least I'm in the right country.
Love that. Had to have fans hear that too. It's very thoughtful of you.
No problem.
Thanks for joining. Oh, before we do go though, Sixten, you want to tell people where they can find your work and find you on Twitter?
Oh yeah, I'm at Funqvist, Funqvist. I do run the only English-speaking SHL podcast out there. It's called Across the Pond. We've tried to get guests on every episode. We're failing to do so, but we're trying. We've had a couple of well-known faces such as Brendan Morrison on. We've had Eddie Lack. We've had other players coming in and play in the SHL having joined us. Yeah, and we're looking into women's hockey a bit more now, so it's kind of awesome.
That's great.
Awesome. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining, Sixten. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again to Sixten Funqvist. We hope you enjoyed that look into Swedish hockey. Carlin, we're turning from the world of Sweden to the world of fashion now for this week's Social Roundup.
We got a lot of fashion. All right. So with this week's social media roundup, we are going to be taking a look at some of the retro reverse jersey glimpses, let's call them.
Yeah.
And it all starts back to a mock-up that the mayor had made where he's, kind of looking at all the hints and the leaks, putting it together and seeing, maybe this is what the jersey will look like. So they've got the very famous, forum blue and gold colors here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in some different spots than we'd be used to. I think that's the point of the retro reverse, Jesse.
Yep.
And you put the name on the back, Mayor 67. Very nice touch there. And this is a mock-up here on Anže Kopitar. So this is what he thinks it would look like. Mayor, really nice photoshopping skills, if that were you. And, all around, great look. And then we get some more leaks from Adidas and the Kings. So we are given a, walking mock-up of what it could look like with very little detail, but
I'm gonna jump in there. They used this GIF of the jersey. All 31 teams had some version of that GIF with the colors, but obviously every jersey's not going to look exactly like that. The pattern there with the shoulders one color and the stripes at the waist, the elbows, that all 31 teams had. So the jerseys are not going to look like that. That's just the number on the back represents the year. I think
that's what I was getting at. They're leaking a little bit more. Yeah, they're sprinkling some more breadcrumbs here on the trail where, maybe the mayor went with the inaugural year of the Kings, but we've got 89 here, which is kind of leaning toward maybe that start of the Chevron logo. So, which he did predict as well. But we do have another photo, producer Chris, I believe. Yes. Yep. So we've got another series of photos here that are still, ominous, not very, descriptive of what it's going to be, but it's exciting. I mean, look at this. We've got a pretty close mock-up from what Mayor had predicted. So I want to know who he's talking to at Adidas. I want all of the details here. And he did get a couple things reversed here, especially on the sleeve detail. Producer Chris, if you can hit us with the sleeve detail from Adidas and hit. Okay, so here's Mayor's version with the yellow banding and the white in the middle. And then Adidas is showcasing the white banding with the yellow in the middle. So very close. I mean, if you're going to do a mock-up and it's that dang close, that's pretty impressive. Jesse, thoughts so far on not seeing the full picture, but getting all these sweet little breadcrumbs and details here on another jersey that could be worn by the Kings this season?
So I've said in the past, I have terrible taste in music and food, and I'm going to go ahead and include fashion in that list of things that I shouldn't say I have terrible taste, but I just say I won't trust my own taste. I acknowledge that I have very particular tastes that usually don't jive with the mainstream. So my opinion on clothing is probably to be ignored. I still call people for advice on which ties I should match with my shirts. Having said all that, I really like the inclusion of white highlighting in these jerseys.
Yeah.
The difference between the Kings 50th anniversary jersey and then the new version of it that they use on Saturdays, the silver ones.
Yeah.
I didn't like it with the gold highlighting. I love it with the white highlight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that small of a detail can change it for me. So when it comes to these and what we've seen, the original jerseys that the Kings had from 67 to 70, whatever it was, when it was just purple and gold, or sorry, foreign blue and gold,
Yeah.
with no white highlights, I like those less than I do the ones that where the foreign blue and the gold is separated by a white line. So as we're looking at right here with the arm, I think I would probably hate that if it weren't for the white stripes around the gold band.
Right.
But I have to say, I think I like the reverse of that was on the mayor's mock-up more than this image, and I don't know why. I do like the numbers being in white with the foreign blue and gold outline around it, double outline. But generally speaking, I like it.
This looks like a hockey sock to me. The mayor mock-up.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like a I wouldn't call it a gradient, but the way the colors are stacked looks like something that you would see on a knit hockey sock. And then the reverse that we are being shown from Adidas, it's just different. It's just very different. I do like the white, like you're saying, instead of a different type of highlight, which maybe we would see a sparkle or some gold or some silver in. It's very nice to just have some blocked out colors like that, and I'm excited to see the whole thing. I don't like teasers. I like reveals also. I'm very much like, what do I have to wait another day? Like, I'm very impatient. So this is
the full reveal is Monday morning, I believe. I will say this though, Chris, if we could switch back to the armband numbers. One thing that I really don't like about the current jersey and about a lot of current trends is that they put the numbers above the tricolor elbow, bands. And to me, that is missing the whole purpose of having that color contrast like we're looking at is so that the numbers, right, it draws attention to the numbers, that if you're looking at the guy from the side, then you've got, oh, that's number 20. That's Lou Robitaille. Okay, I got it. Currently, they have the numbers on the black field above the tricolor elbow bands, and that drives me nuts. It's needlessly busy, and it misses. You have this nice color billboard, or I guess it's white and black on the new current jerseys, but you have this space created against a background of that solid color, and then you don't fill it. It just drives me nuts. So I like that they're going back to that the way it was in the Gretzky era jerseys. So I do like that element a lot.
Well, this will be exciting to see. And here we are on a Thursday arguing about patches on an arm, on a sleeve. And I'm living for this. This is riveting content, and it's driving up the excitement of the big reveal, which you've mentioned will be Monday. So other teams around the league have also been sprinkling some breadcrumbs and making their fans just want to see the full thing. This has been rumored, I believe, to be the actual jersey for the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't think this was posted by the team, though, Jesse, correct? No. This was something that was leaked, and I have questions about it because what if that's not it? Also, I just doubt things that don't come straight from the team. And like, what is it on a table? What is the Photoshop job here? Like, it looks like someone laid it on a table and then Photoshopped all around it to make it. So I don't think this is something that we should fully trust. But if this were direct from the team and somebody sent it via text and it leaked and a blog picked it up and here we are, that's a red jersey.
Yeah,
that's that white spacing that we had on our beautiful Kings mock-up there does not exist anywhere on this jersey. And here's the real, nuts and bolts of this. A designer designed these. They know best. We are saying what we're feeling by looking at it with our eyeballs. And it's just red when I see it.
I mean, I'm gonna push back on one
care and effort from an entire team of people, if that is the one. And that's Vegas Golden Knights jersey right there.
Look, I'm going to push back on one thing you said there, which is that the designer knows best. It reminds me of one of my favorite jokes. You know what you call a person who finished last in their class at medical school?
What?
Doctor. Just because somebody holds a job doesn't mean that they're necessarily good at it. Now, in defense of this jersey, I will say it's based off of the Las Vegas Thunder jersey from, I don't know, the early 90s, I think, from the IHL, I want to say off the top of my head. So, I mean, it wasn't designed so much as it was just color swapped. And that's sort of the point, I think, of the reverse retro gimmick, is that they take designs that previously existed and then they play with the colors. I'm not a huge fan of that color red per se, but I do really like the Vegas logo there, which was inspired by the old Welcome to Las Vegas song, I think.
It's great. It's eye-catching, that's for sure.
It is, yes.
I feel terrible. I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel terrible commenting on anything that any designer has ever created because I would be the last place doctor.
Well,
so I feel like I'm the last place graphic designer here. And I just, when I say, you know, that's red, I feel like I have nothing to offer to society in terms of critiquing anybody's design work.
I promise you that red has a modifier in front of it. That's not red. It's like desert sand red.
Crimson.
Or it's
got some sort of unique name, and I can't wait to hear all about it.
Yeah.
We do have another little breadcrumb here from the people down the street, let's call them, from me. The people down the street from me, the Ducks. And this is going to be fun, I feel like. This is a logo that is near and dear to my husband's heart. Mm-hmm. And Jesse, I know you have something to say about the white in this jersey. And while you love the details in the Kings version, how do you feel about this one?
Well, first of all, I like that Ducks logo. But second of all, it has been speculated that this will be a reprisal of the old Wild Wing jersey, which was the third jersey that came out in 95-96 season, as you can see from the inner collar detail in the photo where it has the reverse retro logo, and then the year that it's referencing there, you can see 95.
Yeah.
So it's going to be it will most likely be the Wild Wing bursting out of the ice jersey, only white instead of teal. And the shoulders are obviously teal instead of white. I didn't like that jersey. I don't like that jersey. I won't like this jersey. As I said on Twitter a few weeks ago when the leaks for this one started coming out, it reminds me of the Optimus Prime Halloween costume I wore as a young boy in elementary school, where it was an Optimus Prime mask and then a yellow smock with a full photo of Optimus Prime on it.
Oh my God.
And as somebody said, I'm pretty sure Optimus Prime doesn't walk around wearing a t-shirt with a picture of himself on it.
You never know.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of mascots to begin with. I understand that they serve a purpose, and I have resigned myself to living in a world where they exist. A jersey for a team that features the mascot of the team bursting forth out of a broken piece of ice, not for me. Not quite my tempo.
Not for you. Okay. No. I'm curious also about the font that's on the back. I like that we're getting a look into
Comic
that right
Sans.
I'm so curious. What font is that?
Well, it's the font from the Goofy original jerseys, which is how everybody sort of knows that that's what it is, because they did choose that outrageous font. That also has no place on an NHL jersey, in my opinion.
Full disclaimer, again, for everybody just tuning in or wondering what we're talking about. We have zero experience in the fashion and design industry, and we are just riffing here off of our thoughts on breadcrumbs of jersey reveals that will be coming soon, which will get a lot of love in the near future. Okay, so we're making content, people. Don't take us too seriously if anybody's just riled up on YouTube or Twitch right now, which
I disagree. I say take us very seriously. I don't have
seriously at all.
I don't have any experience designing clothes, but I have a lifetime's worth of experience wearing and looking at them, and I don't know.
Also, if anyone's tuning in for our fashion advice exclusively, then maybe they're the ones with the problem.
Well,
so maybe.
I'll grant you that one.
Oh my goodness. So I believe, producer Chris, that would be it for what we've got. Yep. Next up, we've got Blake Bolden on the cover of USA Hockey, which has just been a staple in my home, Jesse, for years and years and years. USA Hockey, they make you sign up for it. as a kid. You have to get the USA Hockey insurance to even play in any rink in North America, it feels like. Probably just the United States, actually, because USA Hockey. Anywho, Blake Bolden being on the cover of USA Hockey is the coolest dang thing in the world. And I love how they used her last name and put it inside of such an amazing word, emboldened, right on the cover. And the quote right there, if hockey is something a person of a different race never could have imagined, I want to be proof to not count it out as a sport because we need more diversity. Love that. And then Jessie, she also went on to post a photo of a young girl holding it on her Instagram and said she's feeling all the love. She said, y'all did that, making me cry with all your calls, texts, emails, and DMs. And went on to say, this is so much more than just a cover. This is a representation, normalizing Black faces, inspiring the next generation, and showcasing strong women in our game. Because what? Hockey is for everyone. If you see it, you can be it. And said young Blake Bolden would be proud. And I just love that. I get chills. I get chills thinking about that. And to have her be such a role model for Black girls everywhere and having, her words on the cover, so freaking cool, Jessie. And to have her a part of the Kings organization, I mean, I think we're all pretty, I don't know, lucky is the word.
And I think she was named to like the top 40 under 40 or something like that, or top 50 most I can't remember one of those lists that came out recently, but she was named to it. It is nice to see the Kings represented for any reason, but particularly that one is doubly nice touch, I guess would be the way I'd say it. That is going to wrap it up for Social Media Roundup. But before we close the show, I'm sorry, I can't help it. I do want to go ahead and share my thoughts about 3rd and 4th and 5th jerseys in general. This will be an unpopular opinion, I'm sure, but it's mine, and I feel the need to share it. I don't like them. I don't like any of them. I don't like it when teams change their colors. I don't like it when teams change their jerseys. And part of the reason why, and this is sort of why I feel the need to share this opinion, I think professional sports have a unique place in society in that they are privately held companies that are free to do whatever they want and to raise funds however they want, selling advertising, selling tickets, selling parking, merchandise, etc. But they trade in on a relationship with a fan base that traditionally, at least, has been geographically determined, right? You can be a fan of the Dallas Stars and live in Southern California if you want, but it's pretty difficult. And if you're a Kings fan living in Southern California, or a Ducks fan, or a Long Beach Ice Dogs fan, or an Ontario Reign, or San Diego Gulls, whatever it is, you go to the games, you see the same people, and you're tied to a community. And as I've said in the past, I feel like you're rooting for the community when you're rooting for the team.
Yeah.
You're rooting for other fans to share in the transcendent experiences that you get. And so people, probably to their own detriment, but we do it anyway, we tie part of our identity to these teams that we root for.
Sure.
I am a Kings fan. It's part of, if I go to a party and I meet people and they say, tell me 5 things about you, being a Kings fan is probably one of those things. Sure. So when teams and leagues tinker with that identity, I don't know. I realize I'm upsetting the apple cart. No, it is, and I probably shouldn't even be saying it, given the hand biting the hand that feeds. But I just think it always sort of disappoints me a little when I see somebody like wearing a Boston Bruins jersey that's the wrong colors, or when the Chicago Blackhawks are like, now we have a black jersey, and it's like, well, you've been wearing red and white for 100 years, and now you've decided to switch colors to sell a few more shirts. And I get it. You have to sell shirts to pay people. Like it's a fine line, but I just like at some point, just why not just have every jersey in every color? Like, why not? People like different colors. People like different teams. So go for it. No.
I hear you saying your identity is tied to a team, and I think of
tiny part of it.
Tiny part of it, right? My hair color is blonde. If someone said, now your hair color has to be brown, I'd feel something ripped from my soul. You know what I mean? Like, I would be like, but wait, I'm a blonde. What do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean? So I could see that, okay, our team is this color now, Jesse, and because you love us, you have to wear this. And you'd be like, wait, what? But for so long, I knew you as that.
Right.
I get it. So I think the bigger question is like, how and why have teams of all sports and all different regions, why do they have to continue to change their logos and colors over time? Why can't everyone be like Coca-Cola, for instance, where
the healthy, mature response would be that fans shouldn't tie their identities to privately held companies. Like you shouldn't, like that's the healthy, mature response is that you shouldn't take a corporate brand and incorporate it as part of your identity. But the reality is we do. And so we just have to deal with it. And that's sort of where I've come down to it, is that I just, I prioritize things that bother me in life, and I've stopped being bothered by the fact that there's going to be 8 different jerseys per team and that there'll probably be ads on them eventually, because I do want the sport to grow, and I do want the sport to be more available to other people, as we showed, right, with Blake Bolden, right? There are some people who would probably have an issue with even talking about that as they stick to sports or whatever. And this conversations about fashion are not conversations about the sport, yet we're having them. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm way out of my depth now, so I'm going to shut up.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning into the least experts in fashion and marketing of all time. And this is why you're here, for our opinions on things that we absolutely have no business having an opinion on. Like who changes their jersey and why, and what colors they should pick. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on everything, though.
I want to thank Sixten Funqvist for joining us all the way from Sweden. Carlin, thanks as always for joining me on All the Kings Men Live. Thanks, producer Chris, and everybody at the Kings behind the scenes who makes this show happen. And, of course, thanks to Kings fans watching on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or Twitch. We appreciate it. Next week is our Thanksgiving show, since we will be taking the following week off as it falls on Thanksgiving. We hope to see you then.
We'll see you then.
It's one all, one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Yeah. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated, we the one.